So the news about Navy Federal Credit Union broke a couple of days ago. Now, this article is from CNN. It's titled "The Nation's Largest Credit Union Rejected More Than Half Its Black Conventional Mortgage Applicants." If you have a problem with CNN, which I know some people do, there have been other news sites that have put out this information about Navy Federal Credit Union. So find other sources if CNN doesn't resonate with you. Okay, so this article. The largest credit union in the US has the widest disparity in mortgage approval rates between white and black borrowers of any lender. That's what CNN analysis has found. Navy Federal Credit Union, which lends to military service members and veterans, approved more than 75% of the white borrowers who applied for a new conventional home purchase mortgage in 2022, according to the most recent data available from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but less than 50% of Black borrowers who applied for the same type of loan were approved. While many banks also approve white applicants at higher rates than Black borrowers, the nearly 29 percentage point gap in the Navy Federal's approval rates was the widest of the 50 lenders that originated the most mortgage loans last year. The disparity remains even amongst Black and white applicants that have similar or the same incomes and debt to income ratios. Notably, Navy Federal approved a slightly higher percentage of applicants from, listen to this, white borrowers making less than $62,000 a year than it did Black borrowers making $140,000 or more. So I'm going to repeat that. It approved more white borrowers who made less than $62,000 than it did Black borrowers making over $140,000. A deeper statistical analysis performed by CNN found that Black applicants to Navy Federal were more than twice as likely to be denied as white applicants, even when more than a dozen different variables, including income, debt to income ratio, property value, down payment percentage, and neighborhood characteristics were the same. The Virginia based Navy Federal, which was originally founded in 1933 to serve Navy employees, is now open to all members of the armed forces, the Department of Defense personnel, veterans, and their relatives. It has about 13 million members and more than 165 billion in assets. Bill Pearson defended the credit union's lending practices. Navy Federal Credit Union is committed to equal and equitable lending practices and strict adherence to all fair lending laws, Pearson said. Employee training, fair lending statistical testing, third-party evaluations, and compliance reviews are embedded in our lending practices to ensure fairness across the board. Pearson said that CNN's analysis does not accurately reflect our practices because it did not account for major criteria required by any financial institution to approve a mortgage loan. Those factors included credit score, available cash deposits, and relationship history with the lender. But that information is not available in the public mortgage data. Navy Federal declined to release additional data about its loans to CNN that included borrowers' credit scores or other variables. In addition, most of the Navy Federal applications that were denied are listed as being rejected for reasons other than credit history. By some measures, Navy Federal has been successful at lending to minority borrowers. A fourth of its conventional mortgage applicants are Black, and about 18% of the conventional loans it originated went to Black borrowers, a larger portion than almost any other large lender. But because of the large racial disparity in Navy Federal approval rates, even though more Black borrowers are applying for conventional mortgage loans from the credit union, most of them are getting denied. Experts in mortgage lending and advocates for fair housing said that racial gaps in Navy Federal's approval rates were surprisingly large and raised questions about the institution's lending practices. Lisa Price, the president and CEO of National Fair Housing Alliance, an advocacy group, said the racial gaps in Navy Federal's lendings identified by CNN were some of the largest I've seen. It's quite a stark disparity. It's unusual for us to see instances where the lender denies more loans than it approves. Experts said that Navy Federal's racial disparities appeared to be an especially extreme example of a larger national problem. The credit union's gap between white and black approval rates has jumped significantly in recent years, and among all lenders, the racial approval rate gap has also grown. More broadly, the gap in home ownership rates between white and black Americans is larger today than it was before the civil rights era, and is a key driver of wealth disparities between black and white families. I skipped some parts of this story. There is a man that is speaking about his specific issue with Navy Federal, but you can go back and read the specifics. This, I'm just wanting to speak about a broader issue that the wealth gap is being driven by home ownership. And when it's harder for Black people to get homes, it's harder to build that wealth within home ownership. And this is an issue that has been systemic and pervasive in American history. And many of the issues that Black people have with systemic racism can be papered over or have some kind of plausible deniability when companies are able to say, you're wrong, you're just not looking at all the data. Okay, so back to CNN. It says CNN's analysis doesn't prove that Navy Federal discriminated against any borrowers, but it does show significant disparities in the credit union's approval rates for borrowers of different races, and that it has larger racial gaps than in many other financial institutions. These companies know what they're doing. They're not just going to be outright denying everybody. They have to have some kind of way to cover their butts. But the practices are still the same and have the same outcomes that keep Black people from accumulating wealth. Our country is based on racial and gender-based discrimination. It's just baked into the cake of this country. Okay, a little bit more before I wrap this up. The analysis was based on data collected under Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, which requires most financial institutions to report anonymized information on mortgage applicants to the government, including applicants' race. CNN's analysis focused specifically on conventional home purchase mortgages for homes intended to be used for a primary residence and not intended to be used for a business or commercial purpose. CNN only analyzed loan applications that were ultimately approved or denied by lenders, not those that were withdrawn by borrowers before a decision was made. In 2022, according to the data, Navy Federal approved 77% of white applicants, almost 56% of Latino applicants, and less than 50% of Black applicants. And the 28.6 percentage point gap between Black and white applicants was far larger among the 50 financial institutions that originated the most conventional home mortgages. So folks can come in here and say, you guys are just whining and you guys cry racism for everything. But these numbers do speak. And if they don't take these numbers and actually look at what they're doing, especially when they said that Black applicants who are making more than 100,000 still will get denied more than white applicants making 62,000, then there's something that is going on with the system that needs to be addressed. Anyways, that is the gist of this article, which is long. You guys can jump into the comments and let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.